Well, hello. Welcome to Visual God, and appreciate you listening and clicking on whatever button you clicked on. Really appreciate you being with us. Everything that I've been sharing about over the last few mini episodes, as they've sort of sporadically come in, has really been about the same thing. It's been about approaching and tackling and intentionally activating the call of God for you for this year, and I don't really think there's anything I've talked about that hasn't really been a personal point for me, something that I felt God has brought up in my life about how I'm intentionally going after this year and how I'm intentionally doing something about those prophetic words, doing something about that still small voice that's saying lean in this direction and follow my guidance in this direction. Yeah, I want to stay on this theme because it in the nicest way possibly, it bugs the heck out of me sometimes that we only think about the new year in the first sort of week or so of January, and we come up with all the vision statements and all of the stuff, and we get real excited about it, and then we move on so very quickly, and just get back to the day-to-day of life, and that can be supernatural. The day-to-day of life, the supernatural encounters of everyday life, that can be a phenomenal day-to-day of life, but it can be so removed sometimes from the big vision that we were trying to walk into on the 1st of January when we were asking God the questions. So I want to keep sort of circling, and I'm going to keep reminding myself and keep reminding us that he released stuff that was put in our hearts as a compass point for the direction of this year, and I don't want us to lose that. I don't want us to move on. I want us to keep our eyes fixed on what was released in our hearts and over us through the prophetic and through the questions we were asking at the start of the year, and really just kind of pursue that intentionally. So that's my little intro ramble. I was preaching on Sunday morning, just gone, about Ephesians 4 verse 6, and in church at the time we've been going through a series on the one statements about God, one hope, one church, one baptism, and looking through that amazing list in Ephesians, and it ends with this statement in Ephesians 4 verse 6 where Paul writes, one God and Father of all, over all, through all, and in all. And I was preaching really on the over, through, and in part of it, that this is like a comprehensive statement of God, that we are saying one God, one sovereign Lord over everything, but also one Father who is intimately involved. I was just listening to an artist, an old Scottish singer-songwriter. I don't know how I sort of ended up finding this this thing on iTunes, but he had this beautiful song called "Talking with My Father," and recounting times of when he would talk with his father and his father talking with his son as they walked across the Perthshire hills and rambled across the Highlands together, and this beautiful image of intimacy of a father who is so involved in his child's life in such a beautiful way. And this is the amazing, almost a contradiction if it weren't for grace. This idea that he's the sovereign Lord, but he's also dad. And he's over all, in all, and through all. And what I was really coming down to land on him in what I was saying, and this is the main point of what I want to share today, is trust. Trust is such a mega huge, super big thing in the kingdom. It is all about trust. And the reason why I want to ram on this is because I heard a quote that just, you hear something, it just sticks in your head and it just doesn't get out of there. I heard this quote from a guy called Bruce McNichol, from a ministry called True Face Ministries, based out in the States. And he said, the truth will not set me free unless I trust it. The truth will not set me free unless I trust it. And we are so theologically and intellectually on board with the truth of the scripture, the truth of the gospel, the truth of what Jesus said. We are so on board with that. And I don't say that even with a with a element of sort of, oh, here we go, we've got it right in our heads but not in our hearts kind of rhetoric. I believe with all of my heart that Jesus Christ is the truth, and that I can find the truth in his words, and I can lean on the truth of his words. I'm really on board with that. What happens is, circumstantially, when I get squeezed, the strength of my belief in that truth is challenged. And like a tea bag, you can work out pretty quickly whether I'm strong or weak. And I don't know why this has come to my head, but on mission trips sometimes, when we go out to our children's project in Kenya and we have a tea bag, I need to like mash that thing sort of for about 2 or 3 minutes before I actually get like the cup of tea ready to put milk in. The ones back home, you just pop them in. They've been in for 20 seconds and it's good. The strength of conviction, the strength of belief in that truth of Jesus and what he's saying about himself, what he's saying about us, only really gets tested when we get put in hot water. And so it's all very well Alistair Foreman saying, yeah, the truth will set me free, the truth will bring me freedom. It will only do that if I trust it. It will only do that if I trust it. This is what Bruce McNichol goes on to say. Without trust, I cannot meet God. Without trust, I won't learn who God made me to be. Without trust, I cannot learn who I am or tell my story. Without trust, I cannot experience truth. Without trust, truth is relative and I live as my own expert. That's an incredibly dangerous thing to do. The truth does not set me free unless I trust it. Without trust, I cannot be transformed. Truth only transforms when it's trusted. There's another guy called Bill Thrall said this: what if the wise are those who know that unless they trust truth, they can't apply it? What if the wise people among us are the ones who know that only when they put their trust in truth will they be able to apply it? You cannot apply something that you do not trust. I have been having some dry skin these last few months, and so I've had to man up and moisturize. I'm not going to put something on me that I don't trust. And I look very skeptically at some of those things on the shelves before I got the one for me. I'm not going to put something on me unless I trust it. I'm not going to apply something to me if I am doubting it, if I am scrutinizing it beyond the point where I feel like I can benefit from it. Trust is so important. A few months ago, my wife Abby was in the States and we were waiting for her visa to come through. We got married, we were about to send the visa off, and we decided against sending it off because we just had a feeling in our spirit, and some prophetic words came out that gave us cause to believe that maybe if we applied for the visa before the wedding, it might not come back in time for the wedding, and therefore we would miss the wedding. Now, I don't know an awful lot about weddings, but I was pretty sure even back then that the bride was a fairly critical component to the wedding actually happening. Don't even get me started on these people who are marrying themselves. That will be a tangent that is just not worth going down. So we decided not to apply for the visa. We thought, let's get married and we'll suck it up afterwards. We'll endure the wait, and we'll let the visa take its time if it needs to after we've actually been legally married. That was a good idea, and I think it was the right thing to do. But what it meant was we were married a month and then we were separate again. And God bless, so many wonderful people at church would ask me, how's Abby doing? And how's married life? And of course, they didn't know the full situation. They were saying, how's married life? And there were times when I was thinking, well, it's actually quite a lot like being single, if I'm honest, because she's in America and I'm here. So married life is pretty familiar to single life at the moment. What we experienced during that time was God was overall. We knew he was in it. We knew that, time would pass, things would be sorted, life would be good, she'd come back, we'd be together. We knew God was over it. We also knew that he was working through it, because we could feel our characters being shaped. We could feel our emotions raw and coming up to the surface, and all those fears and all those anxious thoughts and all of that, we realized that God was working through it. Finding God in a situation can sometimes be hard when the noise of the situation and the confusion it's throwing up is so visible. But finding him in something is really where the grace and the brilliance of our faith lies. When we trust that he's in it and we get to experience him in it, we get to go to a level of intimacy that the top 10 biblical characters got to enjoy. We get to go to a level of intimacy that is the kind of thing people lean forward on their chairs and listen to when we talk about it. The truth, the freedom of Jesus can only be experienced when it's trusted. His word says, I'm over all, I'm through all, and I'm in all. I want to leave the challenge for you as I challenge myself. Will you trust it? Truth will transform when it's trusted. Here is some truth being laid in front of you and I right now. Will you trust it?